Auburn Football A-Day has come and gone. For Eagle Eye TV, I'm JJ Jackson, joined with fellow Eagle Eye TV Sports Director Casey Cooper and Weagle 91.1 FM Sports Director Evan Blank. Guys, the blue team today got the win 37-13 here, and about 46,000 fans showed out today to support Auburn. Evan, what was your biggest takeaway from today's game?
I think what people are going to talk about is Jarrett Stidham. But you and I were in the Gus Malzahn post-game press conference, and he was talking about how well he thought the defense played. And I think if you look at the way the first-team defense played, they played absolutely phenomenally. They shut the white team down a couple drives, and they looked really good. On the offensive side, outside of Jarrett Stidham, you and I were up in the press box. We get to fill out our little awards, offensive, defensive, and special teams. Right. I was very close to naming Nate Craig Myers my offensive MVP. He had a great game, and I think he's got a breakout season ahead of him.
Casey?
I completely agree with you, Evan. For me, I think, of course, today a lot of us were thinking about the quarterback competition, and I think a lot of us were surprised about Malik Willis, really surprising a lot of people here. I actually went into the stands and talked to some of the fans to see, if they had any favorites so far after getting a little glimpse of the quarterback so far. And, of course, majority said Jarrett Stidham, but then a lot of people actually talked a lot about Malik Willis and how much they like him.
Last year's starter Sean White, of course, held out of today's action with a forearm injury. The numbers on Jarrett Stidham, today's offensive MVP. Stidham completed 16 of 20 passes for 267 yards. And then, Evan, like you said, Nate Craig Myers, the sophomore, was really impressive at that wide receiver position. On the defensive side of the ball, a lot of new faces, particularly on that defensive line after the loss of Montravius Adams and Carl Lawson. How do you all think the defense played today?
They played well. They had times where they looked a little shaky, but I think that's just going to come with further reps. And really, spring is fine. Spring is fun. Fall is what matters. Fall camp is going to be a much better indicator. Gus Malzahn's not going to say anything. He's not going to name any sort of starters outside of probably Daniel Carlson and maybe like the Braden Smiths of the world. So I wouldn't look too much into what we saw today, but I think the defense played well, and I think they'll only improve throughout the fall.
Casey, your thoughts on the defensive performance?
Yeah, I think they looked pretty good. Of course, it's spring, so they can't really, do too much, but there's a couple hits out there. They got some of those guys pretty good, and Jarrett Stidham did get them a couple times with a deep ball, so that may be just a little bit of spring, with the coverage not being so tight, but other than that, the defense looked pretty good.
Yeah, the vertical passing game is something that the Auburn fans want to see the offense improve on. Stidham completed over 4 passes beyond 30 yards, so he definitely threw the ball down the field effectively. One more position I'd like to highlight, and that's the tailback position. Cameron Petway was a healthy scratch. Coach's decision not to play today. Kerryon Johnson left with an ankle sprain. Evan, your thoughts on the running back position?
I think right now Auburn fans are pretty split on the two running backs between Cameron Petway and Kerryon Johnson. Most Auburn fans you talk to usually love one and hate the other, and vice versa. I don't really hate either of them. I really like Kerryon Johnson, and I like his athleticism. And on that first touchdown we saw today, he played really well, bounced outside. And I think he's added a little more physicality to his game than we've seen in the past, which I think will be good. On the other side, Cameron Petway, healthy scratch. I understand that from the coaches. He came up gimpy in that Vanderbilt game this year, and you don't want to take any sort of risks with that.
Yeah, I like both of these guys. I think they both, help the team in different ways. Of course, Kerryon's been really good, and I talked to him, and he's not worried about his ankle injury at all. He said he should be good to go. And, of course, Cameron Petway, last year he rushed for over 1,000 yards. Probably has a good chance to do that again this season. I wouldn't be surprised if he did that. So I think both of these guys are looking really good for next season.
Cameron Petway, the leading rusher in the SEC last season. And then also we talked about pregame how important it would be to see the offense on display. Offensive coordinator Chip Lindsey's first appearance here inside Jordan-Hare Stadium. Evan, your thoughts on his play calling?
I really like it thus far. I think if Jarrett Stidham is to win the job, or even if Malik Willis is to win the job, I think you're going to see a lot more of a balance. I mean, Gus Malzahn in the past has sort of been 70-30, 80-20 in terms of the run. He really likes running the ball. But we've seen with Stidham in this game, he is great throwing the ball downfield. He's got a rocket of an arm, but he's also got those feet. And Gus said in his press conference that all of the quarterbacks on the roster are able to make plays with their feet, and I think Chip Lindsey's going to use that to his advantage.
Yeah, I like Chip Lindsey. I think he's going to bring, a fresh new feel to this offense, which is what they need. And, both Jarrett Stidham and Malik Willis, they both are really good with scrambling. That I noticed that today. A lot of us, we saw Jarrett Stidham, we thought, oh, he's just going to be a great passing quarterback. But I saw a little bit today, he was good, scrambling and trying to pick up some yards on his feet. And, of course, Malik Willis, we already know that he's pretty good at that.
Absolutely. As I said before, Jarrett Stidham, 16 of 20 passing, 267 yards, 1 rushing touchdown. And, folks, that was all in the first half. No second half snaps at quarterback for Jarrett Stidham. For Casey Cooper and Evan Blank, I'm JJ Jackson. This is Eagle Eye TV.